I recently embarked on reading all of the top 100 books of the 21st century by the New York Times, and this week I read The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson. Let's get into some thoughts. So a little bit about the author. Maggie Nelson is a poet, and you can actually really see that in her style of writing. As you can kind of note, the paragraphs are broken up almost similar to how when you're reading poetry, they're broken up by sonnets, or sometimes doesn't read as fluidly or as chronological as a lot of other fiction novels. What really makes a mother? Do women have this inherent drive to nurture, to caregive? And she's really challenging a lot of that. She really found this idea of caregiving to be a lot more important than motherhood per se, or connecting it to women. On page 107, she is thinking about, again, her mother and her father's relationship, and this idea of motherhood, and this idea of what it means to be a wife, or fill in some of those more categorical roles that women should play in society. And the sentence reads, "I hated him for crushing her. I hated her for being crushed." The last little aspect of destroying motherhood and the roles of women in society that she really crushed beautifully, in my opinion, was when she was talking about and depicting labor, and she was actually going into all the gory details and talking about how it was really challenging. It wasn't enjoyable, and it was disgusting. She was really graphic in her imagery. I was really happy because oftentimes people just talk about the joy of giving birth and the joy of having a baby, and yes, of course, I'm not diminishing that, but I think it's nice to hear a little bit of someone else's reality and the acknowledgement of the process being, you know, not all gumdrops and rainbows. The one drawback that I have about this novel is that when she's making all these critiques of motherhood and identity, she relates it to a lot of philosophical ideas and a lot of philosophers, and she'll quote them and talk about her studies and draw them into the novel. And for someone who doesn't have that theory mindset, who doesn't understand or who hasn't been exposed to those philosophers before, it's a lot of, you might want to go Google, you might want to go just so you can understand what she's talking about. Maybe you won't be the most accessible in that area. All in all though, I think the other, her themes and the ideas, motherhood, identity, sex, nature, what it means to exist, what it means to be human really, and the breaking apart of sex and norms, I found to be really invigorating, and I wanted to talk to all my friends about it, and I found it to be enlightening and really enjoyable. So for 140 something pages, I thought it was great.